This morning when I woke up and I opened my eyes, I was very hungover. And I knew I was very hungover. When the thought of calling out sick to work is my first thought when I wake up, I acknowledge that I'm not feeling well and that I'm sick. And it's the kind of sick that's self inflicted. And it was the kind of sick that I wanted to inflict on myself as a punishment for being a loser. And there's no greater day to celebrate being a loser like your own birthday. It's kind of accumulation of the year, looking at where you were last year as opposed to the year before that and the year before that. And I've fallen so behind on my financial obligations in my life that even if I were to never miss a day of work again, unless I'm able somehow to double my monthly income to well over $100,000 a year, it's not feasible to maintain my current lifestyle. I had to spend most of last year living off credit cards, and this year it's not looking good. The last two paychecks have not stretched far enough, and I can see where my financial obligations are just not going to be met with the kind of money that I make. On paper, I make a lot of money. In reality, the buying power of that money is not particularly good. And so you come to the conclusion every paycheck that it's not sustainable. My financial problems are directly caused by my inability to make more money. And that means that we become a country of shared bills, right? We become a country that requires you to be in a relationship to share your living costs with another person. You may not like this person. You may not want to be in that unholy relationship, but money has forced me into some very toxic situations throughout my entire life. Memories that I wish I could take a blowtorch to my brain and wipe out that entire section of my mind that every once in a while creeps back in there just to give me a kick to the nads. But what are you supposed to do? I mean, it happened. It's like the things that happen behind the Taco Bell when you've had too much to drink, things happen. And unfortunately, they're permanent. I've blocked out certain memories in my life so deeply that regardless of how much I want to remember whatever I did in order to block out those memories, it worked. I have entire sections of my memory that are completely wiped out by my own will to wipe them out. There are people, places, numbers. There's a lot of stuff in my life that I will never be able to see again. Thank God those emails died in my work email from the university because I tried actually to get them back a few times, but they're not coming back. Anyhow, today's was extremely boring. Someone asked me why I have to do the things I do at work that are completely unrelated to my normal job, and it's other duties as assigned. About 3 years ago, when I got promoted, that's not even the proper word. More responsibilities added to my current job. That's not a promotion. It's more work, more responsibility, more tasks, more anxiety and stress, same money. And so when they did that, I realized that this company was just going to exploit every person that it can to the nth degree until they burn out. And I mean, I know a lot of people that are burnt out, not only at my current job, but throughout society where people just don't want to. It's not that they don't want to work, it's just that it's not working for them. Financially, and just like I mentioned this morning, it's just not working for them. I was watching John this morning's video and I was just thinking to myself, this is a man that understands that one paycheck separates you from becoming homeless. And to me, that barrier is not large enough. To me, the barrier between a person who works and homelessness should be a year away from when you lose your job. For most of us, it's 5 to 10 days between losing your job and ending up on the street. Evictions here in Arizona happen extremely quickly, and we've had a record amount of evictions this year in my state. Why? Because losing your job equals homelessness. Whereas one person put it, and I think this is the best analogy I've ever heard for this, is that we're all fish inside of the working bowl, right? As long as we stay inside of that bowl, the wage cage, we can breathe. But the second the wage cage empties out, all of us are floundering on the side trying to breathe, and we can't. No matter how hard we try to breathe, without that crummy job, you can't breathe. And eventually, you go to Jesus because this world's not cut out for poor people that don't want to work. Regardless of the type of work it is, everyone has to work if you're not rich or a criminal or a criminal rich person. But with that said, let's get into my 4 talking points. Birthdays often feel like a checkpoint for life's achievements. When you're not where you thought you'd be, no house, no relationship, no financial stability, it's hard not to feel like you're a complete and total failure. Those were the exact feelings I had this morning when I opened up my eyes and I realized that today was my birthday. Complete and total failure. Having to go to my proly job hungover, angry, and not certain what's going to happen to me in the next year. There's so much uncertainty out there in society right now that none of us can be absolutely sure that we're going to be okay. In a year, who knows what's going to happen to this entire country? But mainly its most vulnerable working class people. People who think that they're going to have a job regardless. And today was a very difficult coming to awareness of where you are in your life at your age, right? Once you get over 30, once you get over 40, and you realize that the best thing that could happen to you right now would be to move back in with your parents, that's not a good checkpoint to reach. Instead of making progress, most of us are working harder than we ever have for the least amount of resources. Our buying power is next to nothing with our current wages, and that will not change until there's a systemic change from within. Until someone finally says, hey, we're not paying people enough to live off. We need to fix this. Well, no rich person and no policymaker is going to make that decision. The proletariat is going to have to rise up and say, we want the ability to own something. We can't fall victim to the you will own nothing and be happy philosophy. That's slavery. And if you're okay with that, then you probably shouldn't be watching this video right now because I'm not okay with that. To me, our society's horrible. It is the worst place that you can find yourself in the world right now is working and being poor. Working and wondering whether or not you're going to be able to keep your job. Working and knowing that your paycheck on Friday is already gone. You're going to have to stretch air in order to get to your next paycheck, and even that there's no point at which you're going to get to a paycheck where you're okay because the system wasn't built for you to be okay. Corporate America doesn't want a bunch of happy people that would prefer to be on vacation or live comfortably. Being uncomfortable is baked right into our financial system because people who are desperation workers like myself, the true loser of our society, because winners wouldn't be on YouTube making this type of content. And I think that I'm got to the point where I'm becoming more and more relatable to people that don't consider themselves to be losers. I meet people every day who don't think that they're losers even though they fit all of the qualifications for being an extreme loser. They didn't go to school. They don't have a penny saved to their name. They have a crummy job. They have a toxic relationship with a person that they don't even like, but they need them to pay that other half of the rent. Everything about life sucks. These unrealistic expectations of people that are working right now to get into homes. It just boggles your mind that people can accept such a low quality of life while at the same time not really being alive. To me, what the 99% are experiencing right now isn't life. It's some sort of alternative reality where you're going to wake up one day and your life's going to be over and you're going to look back at what you did, and all you did was go to all these different crummy jobs that you never wanted to be at but were forced to do. That to me isn't being alive. Talking point number two: the sting of realizing how few people actually acknowledge your birthday. Today, I had 3 people in my entire life acknowledge today was my birthday. Do you know how they came to find out that today was my birthday? Through the company newsletter. 3 people. I've been alive a long time, and only 3 people in the entire world that, you know what? The worst part is all 3 of these people I've never met in real life. I talked to them on the instant messaging app at the corporation, but they saw my name on that newsletter and remembered it was the president from 3 different schools in 3 different states. No one in my immediate group acknowledged anything. In fact, I got almost no communication at all. Ever since was at some point I'm going to lose my job, right? It's not sustainable for me to stay there. But ever since then, the communication towards my department has lessened and lessened and lessened to the point where, on average, I have very little interaction with anyone at work anymore. In fact, you guys keep asking me about, doesn't anyone else notice that Gen Z is very unqualified to do his job? It's like, who's going to notice? He's my employee. He comes to my office and he does what he does. No one else has any direct communication, even his own supervisor, the person that signs his time cards, which is the senior manager, right? Somehow, the president of my area, the president of the tech department, doesn't want him to direct report to me, who's a higher level position, right? So he has them report. I I hate using the word report. He has the senior manager uh, signing his time card, but the senior manager has never met him in real life and has no idea what he does. But I report directly up, above, because the senior manager got demoted from the position in which he was in prior to my getting into trouble at work. And so that's been a really strange part of this job. I've never seen anything like this anywhere I've worked, where my position is higher than the senior manager, but the senior manager is responsible for all of the people who do the lower tier work, right? The people who work on the phones, in a sense, right? These are the people that sit in a room and take phone calls all day. That's who the senior manager's over. So he's like a supervisor over a call center. That's where he's been demoted to, or has always been. I don't know. He's not my boss anymore. But it feels really strange, you know? So even when people do remember your birthday, it feels very shallow, as if they don't really care. I mean, these people saw my name in the company newsletter. How shallow is that? I don't talk to them every day. I've never met them. All they know is they saw my name and they remembered on a company newsletter that comes out every month saying whose birthday it is this month. Every month we get two newsletters. One is about birthdays, and the other one is about whose anniversary it is, whose corporate America anniversary is. And for most people, it's only 1 year. It's only 1 year that they've worked there. Everyone else is turned over at this point. But those shallow interactions, I think, are what really bothers me. When people like message you and they're like, "Hey, I hope you're having a great Christmas," and I'm like, I'm having orphan Christmas again, like I have for my entire life. Orphan Christmas doesn't involve presents, it doesn't involve people, it doesn't involve anything good. Orphan Christmas just means that it's another day. There's no such thing as holidays for people that don't have family, friends, or anyone who gives a crap about them. You just exist, just like you exist in the world. For most of us, we're not really alive. We're just robots that go to work, and that sometimes the work doesn't work out. We're not enjoying our lives. We're not living our best life. We don't have work life balance. We go to work and then we come home and we power down inside of our box, right? We plug into our bed, it recharges us, and then we go back to the job. And we do it over and over and over and over again to the point where we have no soul. Corporate America has a way of crushing everything about your humanity, especially your dreams. Because if you're like me, you gave up on dreams a long time ago. What dream do I have? Wake up in the morning, beat the governor, now off I go. Come home, look around at my rundown apartment, and I think this is life. I'm an adult living the lifestyle of a teenager. And I think that's the hardest part for millennials is that they're living no different than Gen Z. Gen Z may not be able to get a job, but for us millennials, even though we make significant more money, it's not translating to a higher standard of life. I haven't been able to get out of the same apartment that I've been in since college, and I know I never will. Let's see here. Um, let's see. How are you celebrating your birthday? Can feel like a punch in the gut when things aren't going well. Today, someone asked me about why I was gone for 2 weeks during Christmas and New Year's. They're like, "Hey, we noticed that you weren't here for a while. Where did you go on vacation?" And when I told them the brutal truth about what my vacation looked like, they didn't say another beep beep word to me. Like it was so depressing to them that someone would just sit inside their tiny apartment just waiting for work to start. That's all I did is I sat here for 2 weeks waiting for work to start. I never did a single damn thing. I just sat here and stared at the wall for most of that time, acknowledging that eventually I was going to have to go back to Evil Corp. In my own brain, I was ticking down to having to go back. The last day before I had to go back to work was the hardest one. I was trying everything I could to figure out how to make more money here because I didn't want to go back. To me, being forced back to Evil Corp was being put into a prison cell that doesn't lead to anywhere. It's just more social isolation. You come home and you sit in the dark. You go to work and you sit in a corner. Back and forth while it slowly drives you insane. Talking point number 4. Seeing birthdays as a judgment day for your life's progress. That's what a birthday is to me. It's a judgment. It's my own judgment. I have to wake up, look at myself in the mirror, and realize, God, I wish I wasn't such a big loser. And then I got to go to work, and then I got to deal with Gen Z. And, oh my God, it just, life is torture for people at the bottom. There's never any relief from it either. As I've said many times, when I get to work, I feel like someone pulls down the lever on the wall and just keeps shocking me all day for 8 hours straight. And then at the end of the day, once I'm completely defeated, it's like, all right, It's time to go home. Remember, 8 o'clock sharp, we're going to put you on the chair again and pull that lever. And this is for life. And you just kind of scratch your head, scratch your nuts, scratch your rear, and think, do I really want to do this for the rest of my life? Being forced to go to a place that doesn't like me, and that in turn I don't like either. It is what it is, folks. Either you you enjoy it or you get the rope. There really isn't much alternative because it's not going to get any better unless you get rich.